After playing Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled for just about a year, I decided to hit the time machine and go back to play the original CTR. Oh boy, was it rough, but let's talk about it.
Whoa!
What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and back with a brand new video. So, you may have seen that I have made, well, a few videos on CTR over the past year and a half, from exclusive footage, interviews with the creators, countless streams, theories, news, guides, you name it. We have talked about it all and then some when it comes to Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. So it's coming up to the 1 year anniversary of when this fantastic kart racer was announced, and honestly, I couldn't think of a better way to use this experience of playing Nitro-Fueled for a year than to just directly jump into the original CTR. I thought that I could really see and also feel how the game played and see how different it was from the original. But I want to note something. Before we jump into my embarrassing runs, see, I never owned the original CTR when I was a kid. Crash Bandicoot was always a hot title and it was quite hard to find on the shelves. We also weren't the richest of sorts, so I missed out on a lot of legendary titles as a kid. The only time I played the original CTR was briefly at a friend's house during a birthday party or something, when I think about it. Now, things got better for us as a family later on in life around the PlayStation 2 era and leading into the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 generation. But there were a lot of classics that I missed out on, and CTR was one of them. So basically, what was essentially the first time I ever played the game was on a live stream over a year ago, leading up to the announcement of CTR at the Game Awards in 2018. So I don't really have any nostalgic memory to the original CTR or have any sort of, I guess, nostalgic muscle memory of it. So the gameplay that you're going to see is going to be my Canadian bacon trying to play the original CTR like how I normally play in Nitro-Fueled, but I also decided to add some stipulations. I wanted to keep things as fair as possible in this comparison, so I decided to play 3 different racing styles on multiple tracks over on Nitro-Fueled: speed, acceleration, and all-round. Then I would select the exact same characters in the original game. On top of all this, I also selected the exact same tracks with the same racing styles to try and keep it as similar as possible. Oh yeah, these recordings are first takes, no do-overs, so what you are seeing is my first and only attempts. So let's look at the Nitro-Fueled gameplay. I normally play speed, or sometimes drift, depending on the track, so these races were really not a problem. Things started to get a little bit hairy though as I switched to acceleration and the all-round driving styles because, well, I'm just not used to playing them. I lost my fire quite a bit and bumped simply due to the lack of experience with the driving class, but I still managed to do okay on most of the tracks. So now that I'm all warmed up over on Nitro-Fueled, let's go over to the classic game. Let's start with the Speedy Dingo Dial. Immediately, I could feel the game felt completely different. I tried taking paths that I normally take and it was just not happening. Of course, I knew that there would be no way possible that the controls would feel and be exactly one-to-one, so I expected this, but what completely messed me up was when I went for a power slide, and immediately I could see a huge difference. Through me bonking the wall and sliding all over the place, you can see that in the original game, in order to begin the power slide, it feels like you really have to wrench the wheel to start the drift. Take a look in comparison to Nitro-Fueled, where you can easily begin a power slide without the need of turning over so much. Now, is this a bad thing? Well, not necessarily. It just means that the original required more timing and positioning to get the extreme benefit of chaining power slides together. But let's move on to the next race. In Mystery Caves, I found that I started to get my groove on with chaining power slides together. I had to mentally recalibrate how I played from Nitro-Fueled to try and focus on chaining power slides together, and just that, instead of focusing on both power sliding while also running the best lines and paths. Now, as I was chaining power slides together, another interesting issue had arisen, and that was my turning. While, yes, I was playing the speed class, the class with the lowest turn radius in the entire game, I feel that Nitro-Fueled's turning for the speed class gives it a bit more, I suppose just more. Now, this might be due to the sharper control scheme that NitroFueled brings to the table simply because it's on modern consoles and modern hardware, which naturally brings more accurate inputs than the original PlayStation 1 controller could do. But let's just say a lot of sense was made when I switched to the class that most people declared as the best in the original CTR, acceleration. Right from the first race, as I played as Coco, I could see why acceleration was the main choice of class in the original game. I was running paths and lines that were kinda close to how I would run them in NitroFueled. Of course, it was not exact, but I definitely felt more at home with this class than I did with the original speed. However, something else had reared its head that actually gives the original CTR an advantage. One of the main critiques of NitroFueled is its walls. People bonking walls that stick out farther than what the game is actually showing, causing people to bump and lose their speed. Meanwhile, in the original CTR, you can trim and cut corners with pinpoint accuracy and not have to think of invisible or misplaced walls, which is a common occurrence in NitroFueled. However, when we hit Engine Labs, there was an advantage that was swung back to NitroFueled, and that was the use of Blue Flame, or in general, in both games, top speed. NitroFueled makes it quite easy to recognize when you are going the highest speed you can possibly go, just by looking at the gigantic blue flames firing out of the exhausts. And I know there's different types of blue flame, but you get what I mean, that when you see blue fire, you're going quite fast. The original, however, well, not quite as clear. I also felt that controlling this top speed was a heck of a lot easier in NitroFueled than the original CTR. Again though, this comes back to the sharper controls due to modern hardware. Oh yeah, and Engine Labs was bonk city for me in the original CTR. Next up, we got the Balanced class, and well, I gotta hand it to Beanox. This is probably the class that felt almost exactly the same from the original to NitroFueled. Now I will mention that I am not a fan of Balanced in both the original and NitroFueled. It just overall feels so slow to kind of be seen as a class that has a little bit of everything. But nonetheless, the slight lack of speed actually kind of let me see yet another difference between the original and NitroFueled. Whatever the case may be, taking shortcuts in NitroFueled just seems loads easier than the shortcuts in the original game. There are times where I go for a shortcut and I either barely make it or I just come up short. While in NitroFueled, though coming up short still does happen, it's most definitely not as much as the original. Is that a positive or a negative? Well, that's purely subjective. Some people could argue that NitroFueled makes the shortcuts a little, well, I suppose too easy, and dampens the skill and work that a more skilled player might have. Meanwhile, making the shortcuts easier could be yet just another side effect of having better and sharper controls. So why should the shortcuts be made more difficult if that's the case? Again, a debate that's pretty subjective in terms of what's better. Personally, for me, I like that most shortcuts feel more manageable for most players. It makes it, I suppose, more fun that way. So, what did I learn from this experience? What do I take away from it? Well, the very first thing is that though NitroFueled is and has been seen as basically a remaster of the original CTR, it's not quite exactly that. It's more of a modern and faithful recreation of the original game. As in, if they could recreate the game today, how would it mechanically feel? While they did their best to try and make it feel as close to the original as possible, it still feels unique and different. The biggest difference to me is how much easier it is to play NitroFueled with certain mechanics, like starting a power slide, taking shortcuts, and maintaining and understanding blue fire. But the one advantage that the original has is accurate walls and hitboxes, allowing you to really cut corners and run incredibly tight paths for good times. While sometimes in NitroFueled, you have to be mindful of being too close to a wall, as you can bonk it and lose all your speed, even if by eye it looks like you are far enough away from it. But the advantage that NitroFueled has is its controls. I find them much more responsive and more defined and clear compared to the original. Of course, that comes with the hardware advantage of it being more modern. Overall, Beanox did one heck of a good job on this game, and it's still one of my favorite kart racers of all time, and I cannot wait for more games eventually in the future.
A huge thank you to all those who support the channel through Patreon and being a sponsor on the channel. If you'd like to help it out, check out the links in the description below, where you can buy some CGE merch or become a Patreon. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming and nostalgic content. Thank you so much everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video.